Hey everyone, and welcome to another episode of the Real MDCA podcast. I'm your host, Alyssa Garza. And today, for our second episode, I'm super excited to be joined with Nick Perry, who in just 8 years went from being completely broke to now being an 8-figure entrepreneur. Is that right?
You got it.
Yay!
Yeah. Good job.
So please welcome Nick Perry.
Hey, thank you so much for having me on.
Thank you for coming. So for those of you who might not know, who definitely don't know, Nick and I just met just now. But I have heard of you ever since I started working here, and you're a huge name in real estate. So tell us a little bit about how you kind of got started.
Yeah, like you said just a minute ago, I started literally from nothing. 18, I was homeless. I was a personal trainer. Personal training, living in my car, showering in the gyms.
A homeless personal trainer.
I was.
Showering in the gyms. Oh my goodness, what a struggle.
Yeah, nobody knew I was homeless, but yeah, I just kept it to myself. I'd go to work, but I didn't have enough money to get my own place at the time. Where I grew up was Northern Virginia. It's pretty expensive to live there.
Mm-hmm.
And I trained a lot of wealthy clients there, and I realized, well, they're all making a lot more money and working way less than I am, and they were all business owners. I was like, well, maybe I should learn how to start my own business, and that kind of started my entrepreneurial quest. But I didn't know what I wanted to do. I just knew I wanted to do something. I didn't want to work for anybody the rest of my life. Growing up, I was always in trouble. I made it to 10th grade and I stopped going to school. I went from, alternative school to alternative school.
Wow.
To finally, getting expelled and then going and working from the time I was 16 years old. I worked in a cell phone store. Then I became a personal trainer. And, after my personal training experience, I was, really looking to find what my next business was going to be. And I found real estate wholesaling through all places YouTube. So.
Oh my gosh!
Yep.
YouTube taught.
Yep. So I went to YouTube University. Watched a ton of videos, and like I said, I had no money. I didn't have any marketing money to be able to get leads or anything. So I literally had to just handwrite letters. I'd sit there on my kitchen table every single night, handwriting letters till 2:00 in the morning. Go put them in the mail, pray a phone call would come in. And I did that for the first 6 months. And then I started doing the bandit signs. I would handwrite bandit signs with a Sharpie until I was like super high on Sharpie.
Oh my gosh.
And then go put those out. And that was in the Texas heat, no AC in the car. And went to 104 seller appointments before I ever got my first deal. It took me 11 months of doing that before I ended up getting my first deal. So it wasn't handed to me. I definitely, had to learn from the very beginning and build it up to what it is now.
So what keeps someone motivated during that process? I mean, it sounds scary. It's frightening, quite honestly, just not knowing, and you had to wait 11 months. So what was something that kind of kept you determined and motivated to keep going rather than giving up or giving into some sort of distraction?
Yeah, I mean, for me, I think one of my biggest assets and probably biggest weaknesses is that I'm very persistent, very stubborn. Like when I put my mind to something, it's happening. Anything I've ever wanted to accomplish in my life, I've accomplished. And when I was going through those times, it was really tough. I just remember being probably like on my 75th appointment, getting told no, rejected, and I did think about quitting, but I was just sitting there and I was like, I didn't go through all this bullshit to just give up and not do it. Like, I'm already in pain, like I might as well get a reward from it. So I kept pushing, and I was like, there's only two things that are going to happen: is I'm going to be successful at this, or I'm going to die trying. So there was no, there was no other option. I just decided this is what it was.
And so at what point did you realize this was something that was going to be a multi-million-dollar deal? Did you start out thinking, I'm going to make millions, or I'm going to make what you are now and what you've built now? Was this something that you thought about? And at what point did it transition from more of a vision into like a concrete calculated projection of, okay, by this time I will have made this much and I will have built what is now your empire?
Yeah, I mean, inside of me, I always knew like I was going to do big things. But back then, I was just trying to pay my rent.
Oh, wow.
I was behind on bills. I was about to get evicted from my apartment that I just got. And I needed to hustle.
And you were on your own during this whole time?
Yeah, I've been on my own since I was 16.
Wow.
Mm-hmm. So, You know, I don't come from a rich family. You know,
Yeah.
it's quite the opposite.
Mm-hmm.
So I had to, just get persistent about, taking care of myself and taking personal responsibility.
And where do you think that comes from? That sort of discipline and personal responsibility? Because most 16-year-olds who are in that same position, it's so easy to just kind of like give into. There's so many things that are around you, like drugs, just all sorts of horrible habits and distractions. Like, what kept you on the more positive path?
Like I said, I grew up, not from very humble beginnings. My dad, I lived with him when I was a teenager. He had nothing. He was a landscaper. Could barely afford rent. We lived in a $700 a month apartment in the hood in
Wow.
Northern Virginia. Yeah, high crime,
You've come a long way.
shootings, drug dealing, and I remember, going to my fridge, hungry, just getting out of school, opening it up, and there'd be nothing. There'd be like a bottle of mustard, maybe like a couple like slices of bread, and I'd have to, sit there and starve basically. And so that right there really pissed me off. I was like, when I grow up, I'm not gonna have money problems, and so that's why I started working at an early age. At 16, I started working when I was 14 so that I get my worker's permit.
What?
Yep.
That is insane.
Because I realized nobody's coming to save me.
Yeah.
Mom's not coming to save you. Dad's not coming to save you. None of these people around you are. If you wanna go have things, then you need to go out and get it on your own.
What things had you been exposed to at the time? Like, what to you was success back then? Like, what did you look to as like, this is where I want to be, and this is who's doing it?
Yeah, I mean, when I was a teenager, like I told you, I lived in a really rough part of town, but the town that I was in also had a lot of it was really nice, like upper echelon. You had,
Yeah, Virginia.
Yeah, all my friends were getting BMWs for their 16th birthdays,
Wow.
and you're wearing nice clothes.
That
and
is
going,
the worst. Yeah.
And going on trips, and I didn't have any of that, so I would go home and I was living this completely different life than a lot of my friends, and so I was exposed to upper class. I go to their houses, and then I go to my house. I was like,
you started to notice, okay,
Yeah.
I'm poor. Yeah.
Correct, and it pissed me off, to be honest. So I had to really just say, what do I need to do to get ahead? And I just worked nonstop because that was what was required to even eat back then.
Wow.
Mm-hmm.
And now, what would you say is one of the best investments you've ever made in your career?
Probably the coaching and mentorship because, I told you it took me 11 months and just like painstaking, appointment after appointment getting told no. And if I would have had a coach in the beginning, I could have saved a lot of those mistakes and I would have been a lot further, a lot faster with not spending nearly as much time, energy, or money trying to figure it out on my own. So now, like whenever I go into any new business venture, I'm finding who's the best in this entire industry, and I don't care what I need to do, what I need to pay. I'm going to get them to teach me, so I don't have to go and figure it out on my own.
And who would you say is, if not one or some of the best in your respective industry now?
Yeah, when I started, there wasn't a lot of people out there, but my mentor was Sean Terry. He's out of Phoenix, Arizona. I watched all his YouTube videos. I signed up for his course, and then I went and paid for his mentorship. And I would fly out to Phoenix every quarter. He'd tell me what I'm messing up on, send me home with a list of things to do, and that's really how I went from being just kind of a hobbyist, like trying to make some money, being a hustler, to actually having the semblance of a business. Having scorecards, KPIs, employees, really forming the early stages of what it is now, and it surpassed my expectations of what I thought I could do for sure.
Yeah, and it definitely shows. As far as your employees, what is your specific hiring process? What do you think that you do that kind of sets you apart from everyone and helps you build a really strong foundation within your employees?
Yeah, I mean, we're really good at hiring. I used to work at Indeed.com.
Indeed.com?
Yep. So, I got to see the inner workings of a lot of the biggest companies' hiring processes, and I adopted that and brought it in as my own. In addition, working at Indeed, I also know how to use Indeed as a tool to get basically unlimited resume flow. So, Yes. So we're constantly hiring and we're constantly interviewing. And the way that we do it is, we have a ton of resumes that come in. We've got a recruiter that works for us, and she's going through those resumes, calling, doing phone screens, and if they meet the criteria and what we're looking for, she'll pass them on for an in-person interview, and then it kind of progresses from there. We've got a series of, interviews we do and a whole elaborate onboarding process. But the biggest thing that separates us is I do not tolerate B players. So all of my staff, if you went in there, extremely sharp, well dressed, really, really impressive.
A team.
A team. So that's why I'm successful, is I'm standing on, the shoulders of a bunch of bad motherfuckers. So they're all very good at what they do. They're all multiple six-figure earners, and I don't tolerate people if they're not a high performer.
That's awesome. And so how do you keep your employees as well as yourself constantly motivated and prevent them from burnout? Because it's really easy to start off and just hit the ground running. But a lot of people, especially in your place, who are trying to fill really big shoes, suffer from burning out easily and not being able to strike that balance. So how do you kind of maintain that balance?
Yeah, I'm looking for people that I don't have to do that with. I'm not Tony Robbins, I'm not Dr. Phil, and I'm not going to sit there and rah-rah you every single day. The people that we bring into our office, they all have a strong intrinsic why of and that's one of our first interview questions is, why are you here? Outside of needing a job, what gets you up in the morning? And that answer is really important to us, because not only is that going to show me your drive and what's inside of you, but how am I going to best coach you? A lot of these guys are like, I want to retire my mom, or, I want to build a passive income portfolio of, single family houses, or buy apartment complexes. Those are the motivations that they have every single day. And it's something deeper than money. Usually it's family, future, and I coach them to that. So they say a lot of people are scared to hire people that are entrepreneurial because they think you're going to steal all your secrets and then just leave and start their own thing.
Right.
For us, it's, okay, they want to get a single family rental portfolio. Well, I'm going to give them the vehicle to do that, and I'm going to coach them the entire way. So, all right, look, man, all right, that duplex right there, that's a good deal. I'll get you the hard money lender. Let's figure out how we can get your financing. We know it's going to be, $50,000 down for this. You've got to, close a few more deals before we can get the $50K. And we're constantly measuring where they are in their personal and professional goals. So we're pushing everybody to get to their goals as fast as possible.
That's awesome. And you want them to meet their goals. You
100%.
want them to succeed, and you want them to do it to their maximum capabilities.
Correct. And
awesome.
And so that's how I'm able to keep high performers that stay with me, and they don't want to leave, because they make really good money, and I'm fostering their personal and professional growth.
That's awesome. So circling back to what you were explaining about, you asked them, the first question is the why. What is your why?
My why for me is I'm still running from, where I was when I was sitting there, sleeping on a couch in the hood, not having any money. So, now I'm in a great place. Financially, I don't have to do that, but I always still have that chip on my shoulder. And, additionally, I want to live the best life I possibly can. We only have one life, and I want to squeeze everything I can out of it.
Right.
So, spiritually, mentally, physically, I want to max out every area of my life. So when I finally go to be with my maker, I'm feeling like I gave it all I got, and I did. I did what I came to do.
That is awesome. And why did you choose from going and being a trainer and kind of focusing on physical health to going into real estate? Was there something that made you pick that industry specifically?
Yeah, I realized I was working 60 hours a week, and my clients that were coming in were multi-millionaires, and they weren't working nearly as hard, and they're taking these luxury trips and these big houses.
And you just asked, you were like, hey, what do you do?
I would interview. Yeah, I did. I interviewed all wealthy clients.
They do that on TikTok and everything nowadays. They're like, hey, what do you do for a living? And have you seen those videos?
Of course, yeah, Daniel Mack and
exactly.
So that's what I was doing.
You were doing it before it became a whole thing.
Yeah.
And I pay attention. I write it down. I'm like, he does what? But 90% is real estate.
Real estate, yeah, it creates the most millionaires out there.
Really?
Yes.
I didn't know that.
Yes. So that's when I really I started to buckle down and like educate myself and took action, and here we are.
And you have a passion for it.
Yeah, I don't have a passion for real estate. I really could care less about a house.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, the house is just the widget to me. It could be this bottle of water right here, and this is the product. The house is just the product.
So you have the passion for the sales.
I have the passion to make money.
Oh.
Yes, and my building businesses.
Mm-hmm.
I'm a creator, so it's exciting for me to have a vision in my mind and then strategically go out and execute it and see what was in my mind at one time. Now it's playing out and it's actually creating real impact in the real world.
What tools would you say have been the most important that you've used to help grow your business?
For tools that help me grow my business, Google Ads. I mean, that's our main form of marketing. That's the only thing that we do for marketing is Google Ads, Bing Ads. We're huge on pay-per-click advertising. It's made me a multimillionaire many times over.
Pay-per-click advertising, and you started doing that at the beginning, and you still do pay-per-click to this day?
At the very beginning, I found some guy that was doing it on YouTube, and he was really good at it. And I flew all the way from Texas up to Connecticut. I told him I was going to be in town. I had no reason to be up there.
What?
I convinced him to go out and have a beer with me at a bar. I went there with $5,000 in cash. It was like all the money I had at the time, and I gave it to him to train me how to do online pay-per-click advertising. And he trained me over Zoom for a couple months, and that was what gave me the foundation to be really good at digital advertising.
So you've taken some huge risks.
Always.
Would you say that's the biggest one you've ever?
No,
What's the craziest risk? The most like, okay, my last dime. This is a huge risk. I'm kind of just rolling the dice. What's the biggest risk you've taken?
When I was in Northern Virginia, I desperately wanted out of there to the point that I was like, I'm gonna go anywhere, and I only had $4,500 to my name, and I was at the end of my lease in Northern Virginia, and I decided I'm gonna move to Austin, Texas. I had no business being there. I didn't know anybody.
Why did you pick Austin?
I came down here to visit a friend one time, and we had a great time down there.
As most do, yeah. It's a fun city.
Yeah, we had a great time, and so out of all the cities that I'd been to in the U.S., Austin had the most going for it at the time. And I moved down. I called an apartment looker. I said, "Give me as close to downtown as you can for $1,000 a month." So they put me in this like hood apartment. Right on the east side of Austin.
I was just about to say on the east side, I bet. That is crazy. That is funny.
I went down there with literally, bags of clothes and an air mattress and a laptop.
A little knapsack on a stick.
Yep, in my beater car. I had a Mazda 3. I got it all the way down there, and I didn't know what the hell I was doing. I kind of got to Austin. I was like, all right, I got to figure some shit out.
You made the right choice. Even still, Austin is it's becoming LA. Everyone's moving to Austin, and the rent prices now are
out of control. Yeah.
Out of control.
Yeah.
Insane.
So I think that was probably the biggest risk, because I moved from my hometown to Austin, Texas, with not enough resources, and I turned it around and ended up becoming probably the best decision of my life.
And would you say that had the best reward?
100%, because I wasn't going to meet the kind of people that I would need to meet in Northern Virginia. I think that Texas is a great place with a lot of really smart people. It's just a different vibe, down here. Texas is a good money making state. So I think that even if no matter where I would be, I would figure it out and be successful. But moving to Austin forced me to all right, now you got to go out and make something in your life. You got money running out.
It puts the pressure on. You've got a hammer. It's like, okay, I have $4,000 in my account, and that goes fast.
Correct.
That goes so fast.
Yep.
And you have to, when you're in a stressful situation, you know how to work. When you have to do something, you figure out how to do it.
Well, that's what I've noticed. The biggest success factor is the ability to handle pressure. If you look at any successful entrepreneur, the common denominator amongst all these millionaires, billionaires that you see is the ability to handle pressure. How do you get by when your back's up against the wall?
And that is honestly a very hard skill. A lot of people will crack or get stressed out. How do you keep calm and composed in stressful situations?
I mean, I'm just I have just like a dog on the inside of me. It will not, if I go into, there's a couple different kinds of people. Like some people, when they get backed into a corner, the dog's either going to do one or two things. It's going to cower down, or it's going to bite back. I've always been the fighter my entire life. So I've always had to fight for, everything. So when I get into a stressful situation, what I went through in my childhood was a hell of a lot harder than what I go through in the business world. So for me, it's not bad doing business.
Let's say there's someone watching who has maybe $10,000 in their account and they want to start their own business and they're working at a job like you were at Indeed and they're kind of trying to figure out what step is next. What advice would you have for that person?
My advice, if you got 10 grand, invest it into skilling up, because if you go out there and you try to start just dumping money into marketing or systems and you don't know 110% what you're doing, you're going to end up wasting a lot of time, energy, and money. Going back to what I said, I would find who is the best in your industry. I don't care if it's online, e-commerce or real estate wholesaling or whatever you're doing. Find out who is already where you want to be, reach out to them, and pay for that one-on-one guidance so you can eliminate a lot of costly mistakes. So I'll pay for mentorship first.
That's really good advice, actually. Mm-hmm. That's internships, everything. It's all about getting your foot in the door and learning constantly. Mm-hmm. And it seems like you do a really good job of that. What is probably the biggest sacrifice you've had to make in getting here?
I've sacrificed a lot. I've sacrificed sleep, my health, time with family, my hair. I had to go get hair reconstructive surgery.
What? You and everyone else.
Yeah. I've sacrificed, relationships. There's a laundry list of sacrifices I've had to make every single day, to get to where I am. Especially in the beginning, I gave up all my weekends. I wasn't partying, not going out. It was literally 7 days a week, 80 hours a week, whatever it takes, no matter what.
80 hours a week?
Well, I had a 9-to-5 job, so I'd wake up, I'd go to Indeed, I'd do my 9 to 5, I did sales there, so I'd be closing deals there. As soon as I get off, I'd go home, and then I'd be picking up the phone, talking to motivated sellers for real estate and setting up appointments. And then every weekend, I was driving I'd set up appointments all week, and then I would drive all day Saturday, all day Sunday, going on house appointments. I was in Austin. I was doing, Houston was my first city that I did a lot of deals in.
So you had a full-time job, and then on top of that, you were full-time starting your own business.
Yeah, I'd work until 2 o'clock, 3 o'clock in the morning, get back up at 7:30, get to work.
And you did that for how long?
About 3 years. 3
years you were doing that?
Yeah. So I think that's one thing that most people get when they start seeing stuff on Instagram and they see all this, all these shiny objects. They think it's going to be easy, but most people grossly underestimate the amount of sacrifice that it actually really takes.
Absolutely, because you don't see it. No one sees the okay, I'm out here working and I'm sacrificing partying and I haven't slept in 3 years. Mm-hmm. But all they see is the reward, and people want that reward. So what influence do you think social media has on success or lack thereof?
I think it's good for inspiration, but you're seeing the highlight reel of everybody's online presence. Mm-hmm. They're sitting there taking photos on their nice vacation, they're in front of nice cars, and those are the trophies and the byproduct. You don't know what went into that, and I think a lot of people just say, well, that person, they're doing it, I could go and do that and be successful here in no time, but it takes a lot longer than you think. So you have to really take that into consideration. If you see the fitness model on Instagram, that body did not come overnight.
Right, exactly. Right?
Yep, same thing in business.
Work hard. So would you say social media is good for business, and to what extent? Because you can have 100,000 followers on Instagram, but that doesn't necessarily translate into positive leads or good leads. So would you say social media has helped you grow your business?
Huge. I make millions of dollars through my Instagram. My Instagram's shut down right now. It's really messing up my messing up my flow.
So would you say Instagram is maybe the leading app that's helped you kind of generate the most leads in business and money?
For social media, yeah.
What?
Mm-hmm.
So not Facebook, not anything else, Instagram.
I've done both. I mean, I've made a lot of money on Facebook, selling deals to other investors using Facebook groups, and then Instagram is, really what's helped me build my name and my brand. People have been, discovered me through that, and then
Absolutely. I discovered you through that. I've heard of you strictly through social media. So it plays a huge part in getting your name out. So do you think to a certain extent that's just as equally important as the hard work is being present?
you got to go out there and build a brand, because if people don't know you, they can't flow you, right? Everything is, you're transacting, with strangers, and you got to go out there and meet as many people as you can. And social media has made it way easier than it used to be back in the day. So personal branding is something that if you're not doing it right now, your future self, I promise you, is going to thank you for it. You need to get on it, and you're going to look back and be like, wow, I'm glad I put, that time and energy into sitting there creating those reels and taking these stupid photos. If it weren't for business, me personally, if I wasn't making money on it, you would never see me post. You might see a picture of my dog every now and then on Instagram, but I really don't care about, I just do it because it makes me money.
And what do you think it is? It's the familiarity of, this is a brand that we trust, and this is someone that we trust and know and who's familiar with this work.
People get to know you through your social media. They get to see your personality. They get to see, what kind of, advice you have, what kind of value you can bring to them. And if you're continually bringing people value on social media, eventually they're going to turn into some sort of relationship, whether that be, a personal friendship. It could end up being, a new business partner. It might be somebody that, it becomes a part of your mentorship program. It might be somebody that gives you a deal. Those, you don't know the impact that you're having when you're out there posting. People are watching your stories. People are liking, and they're seeing what you're doing. So it's good to go out and continue to plant those seeds every day.
Can you talk a little bit about the importance of building relationships within the industry? Because you have made tons of connections with other people who are in the same line of business, and how that plays into your success.
That's been literally everything for me. I've spent over $1 million on my own education, going to events, conferences, seminars, and through doing that, I've met pretty much most of the heavy hitters in our industry and become personal friends or acquaintances, to the point that I can pick up the phone right now, and any problem that I have, I can get it figured out. Because if I can't figure it out, I've got 10 people on my phone that can help me. If I need something, if I see something I want in business, it's very easy for me to get it, because I've got those relationships to pick up the phone and make things happen.
So do you see yourself as successful, and what would you define as success?
Yeah, I feel like I'm very successful for my age. I'm retired, so I'm 33. I retired at 31.
Congratulations.
Yeah, it's overrated. It's boring, but no, I do. I think that I was least likely to succeed when I was growing up. Everybody thought I was going to end up probably dead or in jail.
No way. Were you the kid in high school that was pretty much like least likely to do like that? You know how we have that really?
Yeah.
No way.
I failed out of all my classes. Like
Stop
I said, I was
it.
in alternative schools, getting in trouble all the
You
time.
were like in and out of juvie.
100%. Yeah, I got a house arrest bracelet, the whole
nine.
What? Yep. And so, going from that to where I am now, and all the people back then were looking down on me, and now I'm like, what are you guys doing? You're still in your hometown doing the same thing with the same people. And now you're fat, like. Yeah, so it's crazy, if you start taking, it comes back to personal accountability and personal responsibility, so I think that plays a big part of it.
What's the best piece of advice that you've gotten in your career thus far?
Man, a lot of people have poured into me, over my entire career. one that really stuck with me was from Brent and I. We got a personal friend. His name's Mike Hackley. He's very successful. He's got almost $500 million. And one thing he told me recently, he said, "I don't know how I'm going to die, but I know how I'm going to live." So.
Ooh,
So
I
that
like that one a lot.
That one's been resonating. When I think about taking risk or what I'm going to do, take that trip, go out and take that risk in business, and live your best life because you only got one.
That's awesome.
Mm-hmm.
So before we end, is there anything else you would like to add or say? Any sort of advice you have for anyone who might be listening?
Yeah, I've been through the entire spectrum of real estate and just entrepreneurship. So if there's anything I can do to help you, reach out to me. I'm accessible on social media if you want to connect with me. My Instagram's down right now, but you can reach me out on Facebook.
Everyone, look at the Facebook when the
Yeah.
Instagram comes back up. Be
Yeah.
on the lookout.
And I'm happy to help. We do education, we do events, we do masterminds. That's what has got me to where I am. So I like helping others get to where they're trying to go.
That's awesome. Well, thank you so much for taking time out of your busy retired schedule to join us, Nick. And we'll see you next time.
Thanks so much.